the research gap is something which every researcher should be aware about. Because if your research gap is not very clear, it means you will have you will face problem of rejection. Okay. The problem, what is the actually research gap? होता क्या है? What is this research gap? So this research gap is something which is not existing. Right? Simply, it is a problem which is not solved, which need to be solved. The problem. So just let's see the definition of it. The problem that a researcher would want to see addressed in the research, what is missing and what is not addressed, the question or problem that has not been answered in the area of specialization. So basically something missing in the existing literature is known as research gap. Actually, I will explain in later slides that how to identify this research gap. But when I see the research gaps of different people, different scholars, they mentioned that this research has not been conducted in India, or this we have not found studies on this topic. We have not found this relationship between this variable and that variable in any paper, in published paper. So they will explain the research gap like this, right? So do you think it is a research gap? We should write the research gap in this way, that we have not found this topic earlier. This study is not conducted in India. This study is not conducted in Delhi NCR, right? And we are introducing a new relationship. So actually, the problem is that the clarity is not there. What is the research gap? The clarity is not there. Even I'm not saying I'm an expert, but after doing a lot of consulting, I can speak on this. So basically, research gap is the need why this study is important. If this study can contribute some new aspects, so research gap should be considered from the contribution aspect. Whether your study contributes something new or not. Don't see whether this study is available or not, whether this study is there or not, whether this study is conducted in India or not. No. From my perspective, I see research gap that how your study provides contribution to the theory or provide the new knowledge to the people. So research gap, according to me, should be considered with respect to its contribution to the knowledge. So what you are contributing, if is your contribution is significant, if is the contribution of this paper is valid, can change the life of the people, can have the impact on the people, can bring some new information. So this is the research gap, right? So whenever you are presenting your paper or whenever you are presenting your thesis, try to relate the research gap with the contribution, with the possible contribution of the paper. Because if you convince the panel that this paper is going to change the life of others, this this new topic can bring new information, then the research gap is meaningful. Otherwise, research gap is not meaningful. I hope you are thinking on it. So research gap should be considered with respect to the contribution. And if you can contribute something new, then you can say this is missing. This aspect is missing at present, and this paper can contribute, can bring some new aspects, some new lights in the knowledge, right? So this paper can add value to the existing knowledge. Okay, now there are two types of research gaps. So I'm coming to that. Okay, so in this slide, there are few cuttings I took from the internet. Number one, all type of research always begin with a research gap. If you don't have research gap, there is no meaning of the research paper. All research papers should start from the research gap. Research gap is nothing, it is a research problem which you are going to address and contribute something new. So all type of research always begin with a research gap. Now this thing is very important. Is the research gap clearly articulated? So in the participants, there are many people who took consulting from me, and they can remember that whenever I ask them to write the introduction part of the paper, what is the purpose of it? We discussed actually that whether your research gap is clearly defined in the paper or not, right? So you can remember these aspects we have discussed. So, is the research gap clearly defined? If yes, then it is very good. If no, then you have to think why your paper is rejected always, right? So one of the reason of get rejection is you have to think again and again whether I communicated my research gap in good words or not. Research problem is research gap, right? They are related to each other. Research gap come first. From that, you write the problem, research problem. Okay, problem with many masters and doctoral students. What is the problem? They simply start with the objective and thought it is already the research gap. So I know that they decide the topic. That topic is to find out the relationship between the employee engagement and the employee motivation, right? Do you think it is a research gap to identify the service quality of the banking sector, to study the organization culture of IT sector? So they start like this. They don't know what is this employee engagement and how it is related to employee motivation, employee satisfaction. So they pick all the keywords and try to find out the relationship between them. This is not the research gap, right? Just last week, I had a almost fight with one of the scholar. She asked time that she needed time from me, and I gave appointment to the scholar, and we had a discussion. So I asked that, madam, what you are teaching in your college? She says that I am teaching commerce. I am teaching cost accounting, financial accounting in my college. Okay, then I said, okay, fine, no problem. Now, what is the topic of your PhD synopsis? Because she is going to submit the synopsis in a university. The title of the synopsis is that the role of woman entrepreneur in agricultural business. Then I asked them. Then I asked her, madam, where is the cost accounting in this? Where is the financial accounting in this? And what is the research problem in this? So she said that, sir, I am very influenced by the agri business in India, and my husband is also interested in this business, and he's reading a lot, so I am interested in this topic. So then I said, ma'am, first of all, you should stick to your topic. If you're teaching finance, we try to do something in finance. Don't go to the agriculture and don't go to the any other area. So first of all, basically, most of the scholars, and I had a discussion with most of the scholars, and when I asked them why you pick the topic, they say that, sir, my husband is working in the banking sector, so data collection is very easy, and my husband is an insurance manager, so getting the data from insurance is very easy. So you think how they define the research gap? If you are also defining the research gap in the same way, believe me, you are going to have a problem. And because if you are doing PhD, all the interviews which you are going to face in the next 5 years are only based on the thesis. So when they say that, when they think that this person is not focused or not clear about the research problem, and actually I also face the same problem. I wrote paper in marketing, I wrote paper in finance, I wrote paper in IT, and one of my paper on ERP was published in B category journal, and my one of the paper on blockchain is in review in A category, and so I wrote all kind of paper, and I face the same problem. So, but now I know that I suggest that first of all stick to your area, find out the research gap, and find out the research problem, and then go for a paper writing. So most of the scholars simply start with the research aim and thought it is already the research gap. No, the research gap is not same with the research aim. Masters and doctoral students just copied or patterned their thesis or dissertation on previous researchers. I know many people who say that, sir, I found a thesis and I want to replicate this thesis in my research paper, or I want to continue, I want to take this topic for my PhD because I already find it ready-made thesis and I will just want to copy this. This approach is totally wrong. I'm telling you, if you are doing a PhD by looking another PhD, this approach is not wrong because wrong. Sorry, this approach is wrong. Why this is wrong? Because the business environment is very dynamic. Maybe that concept is old concept. Even you cannot believe that somebody came to me and say that I am doing a PhD on value-added tax. So then I said, why you are doing PhD on value-added tax? Value-added tax is no more. Government already introduced GST, right? And not now 3 years back. So she says that, sir, when I took admission in PhD, the VAT was very popular, value-added tax. So I started my PhD on value-added tax. And now you know that there is value-added tax is no more. It's already dead. So you have to find out some topic which are sustainable topic. Fine. So why it is important to identify the research gap? So every scholar should be very, very clear on the research gap. Why? Because if you don't want to rejection of the paper or the major revision in the thesis or major revision in the synopsis, your research gap should be very, very clear and you should communicate that to the panel. Publishable research, because if your research gap is good, have potential, then you can write papers. Because whenever somebody asks me, sir, I'm going to submit my synopsis, how I find out the topic, how should I take the topic? And in last 3 months also, I consulted many new scholars, and we discuss on the topic, and we decide only that topic on the basis of publication potential. If the potential of publication is there, then I suggest them to go to the topic, otherwise not. Unique and original research. Your idea should be unique, your idea should be original, right? You should not copy others, and you should have some deep knowledge of the topic, obviously. So these are that's why research gap is important. Okay, now the question is that how to identify research gap. Here I am going to give you some tips about identification of the research gap. There are simply 3 tips. From my experience of last many years, I can tell you 3 tips. Number 1, you should take only that topic about which you are very passionate. You like to do the research. Because if you are teaching finance, if you are teaching marketing, if you are teaching HR, you know that in which subject you love to teach, right? Because I know that I teach finance, I teach many subjects in my life, but my love for quants is very much. I love to teach quants, but I'm teaching finance, I teach so many subjects. But my first love is actually the mathematics. So identify your passion in which you are very good, in which you love to teach, right? So find out the topic where you like you, because anything which you like, you do hard work, you put your everything, each and everything, right? You put your blood in that, and as a result you will write more papers, good papers, better papers, and slowly you will get the expertise, right? So my session is that find out the topic in which you are passionate. If you are passionate in teaching financial accounting, if you are passionate about teaching marketing management, if you are passionate for teaching like organization behavior, so find out the topics which are very close to you and try to find out something new in those areas. This is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is that you have to identify the mega trend. Mega trend means now you know that every year some new trend come, like demonetization, e-wallet, right? Social distancing, corona, right? Online teaching. So blockchain, these are the new trends, and every year some new concept comes in our life. Every year some new concept come, like you know that in coming days we are having the driverless car, we are having the 5G, we are having the automation, we are having the machine learning mechanism, we are going to adopt the online technology. Or recently, you know that the Ministry of HRD launched the new education policy. So you know that the trends are changing very fast. So just identify the new trends, and if you can identify some of the new trends, so write the paper on that. Because I started writing paper on blockchain when is it just introduced, not very old paper. And nowadays I'm writing some papers like on online teaching, right? And I also find out some new topics, new trends, which are very new and but have a lot of impact in the human life, right? You know that online teaching will have a lot of impact on the human life. And some more concept, social distancing is a new concept which we heard in this year only. And so keep eye your online trend, mega trends, right? How these trends have an impact on the human life. Write paper on that. This is one of the area. And one of the editor told me also in one of the discussion that actually we like those papers which are based on the new concepts. We like those papers which are addressing the new trends, new things, right? So if you write a paper on the new trends, the chances of publication is high, rather than if you write paper on employee satisfaction, motivation, engagement, and all. These are very old topics. Nobody is interested in reading those topics. So try to write your paper on the latest issues, right? So I gave you so many examples of these latest issues which people are talking about. Digital marketing is one area where a lot of changes is. Social distancing, one thing about uh, social celebrities. It is again a new topic on which the research is going on. There are many celebrities, like you know that TikTok stars and all these stars. So they are charging a lot of money in endorsing the product. So all the SMEs companies are targeting these, hiring these TikTok stars, right? So you have to keep your eye in the new trends if you want to write a paper. Then third is the third area is very traditional area. If once you identify the topic, So see the recent literature, because recently I was discussing with one scholar about the new topic. Then we simply identify the three journals. Then we look what these journals are publishing in recent issues. And after doing a small study, we identified that now everybody is talking about this issue, this topic, and this topic is becoming very popular, like sustainability. So one of the issue that most of the journals like to publish is sustainability. How can we say that a new technology is sustainable? So you can find out the new topics which are published in the recent issues in the famous journals. So there are three tips which I am giving you to find out the research gap. And if you can do these exercises, you can I keep your eye on the mega trends, or if you see what the journals are publishing in their recent issues, you can identify the research gap. So I hope you understand what I'm going to convey to you. Now, this is the way I write a research gap in the thesis. So whenever I providing consulting to different people, I suggest them to write the research gap according in this manner. So first of all, on the basis of the literature review, this is the finding, right? And this is my research gap. The finding the research gap. So I'm not saying this is a very ideal kind of format, but it is one of the format which you can adopt. Because in research paper, first of all, they actually in research papers, they study from the research gap. But in thesis, you know that first of all, we have to do the literature review. And after doing the literature review, you can identify that where is the gap. Where is the gap means what you are going to contribute in the paper, which is not in existing literature. So this is one of the pattern or the format of writing the research gap. Then we are coming to the research questions. And I know that I was sitting in a class, and the discussion was going on. The discussion is that what is the difference between research objectives and the research questions? Research objective and the research questions. Now the research question is actually the question, and you have to give the answer of these questions. Like for example, all of the research scholars which are sitting in the session, you must be have clarity on one aspect. Number one, in the end of the thesis or in the presentation, you have to write this is the research question, this is the answer I found. This is the research question and this is the answer I found. So you have to present like this. So research question, answer, research question and answer. So this is the one of the expected output from each PhD. Right. So what are the different research questions you started with your research, and what are the answers you are giving on the basis of empirical findings? Right. So once you defined the research question, after research gap, then you have to mention some of the research questions which you are giving in answer in the research paper or in a thesis. In normally a thesis, we have 8, 9, 10 research questions. Sometimes we have only 3 or 4 research questions. So I think the minimum number of research questions should be 6. This is the ideal number of research questions in a thesis. But if in a research paper, I suggest you to write 2 research questions. And these research questions comes before the research methodology part and after the literature review. So you can mention that you are going to give a solution or answer of these 2 research questions. Research question means the questions which you are answer in the research paper, which you are giving the answer in the research paper. Right. So research, I will show you some of the research questions. Don't worry. And because I cut and paste some of the research questions to show you. And a good research questions have some properties like it requires a judgment to be made, because research question means you need an answer, right? Suppose if you write what is blockchain technology, do you think it is a research question? Or what is financial literacy? What is employee engagement? These are not research questions. Research questions are those questions which can be answered, which can be tested, right? Because you are not going to write a book, you are not going to write an essay, you are going to write a paper, research paper or thesis, where you can start with a proper research question and give the answer of that. So it requires a judgment to be made, allow for debate between different perspectives, and allow for answer to be middle ground or to synthesize different perspectives. In simple, one idea rather than many. I will show you some of the examples. So really interest the learner can be answered with the resources available to the learner in the word limit allowed. And frankly speaking, the research questions, most of the research questions are answered with the help of hypothesis testing. Because after the research questions, you will frame some of the hypothesis, and with the help of hypothesis testing, you can give the answer of these research questions. So most of the research questions are based on empirical testing, empirical findings on the basis of a statistical test applied on hypothesis testing. So this is the end of the research questions. And in the answer, right, in the conclusion or in the conclusion of the review, as I said earlier, that whenever you send a paper for publication, the editor read the introduction part and the conclusion part. So because in the introduction part, you explain your research problem, you mention the research question after the hypothesis, literature review, then he will find out the answer in the conclusion. Are you providing a solution or the answer of your research questions in the conclusion or not? If your conclusion is a vague conclusion, it is not addressing the research answer of the research question, so you know that what happens, he will reject your paper. He know that ये तो अनाड़ी है, ये क्या मतलब पहले पता लग जाता है. So he can identify that whether you are a beginner or a fresher. So he will reject your paper because if you don't know how to write the conclusion part. So basically, the conclusion part of the paper or of a thesis must be include the answer of the research questions. So I hope you are understanding that. Now I'm showing you some of the research questions. Let me move the slide. Yeah. So these are some of the research questions which I took from the previous consulting projects that I did. Like what, how, what is the impact? So all the research questions have started with the what, how, what, whether, right, why, all these things, right? So when I say what is the level of financial knowledge, it means we are going to calculate the financial score. How much the working women are financial literate, it means we are going to calculate the score of financial literacy. What is the impact? It means we are going to test the structural equation modeling, or we are going to apply regression model. Whether the demographic profile, it means we can test with the help of moderation effect or the t-test, ANOVA test, like this. So all the research questions are testable, measurable, right? And I know we should know in the starting that how we achieve the answer of these research questions. So all the research, these are just sample research questions which I included in my consulting projects, because all the projects are already submitted. So no problem in showing. I know that. So I'm taking from the submitted. This is objective of the research. Now I'm coming to the next part, objective of the research. Okay. Objective of the research is the something. If you're not aware about the objective in the starting, it means you cannot go beyond in next step. Because first of all, you know that we identify the research gap, and we identify the research questions from the research gap. And after identifying the research gap, research questions, now it is a time to define the objective of the research. And I am surprised most of the time, because most of the researchers are not aware that how to write the objectives in the paper as well as in the thesis. Most of the researchers are not aware how to write the objectives. What is the, are you writing the proper language of the objective, and what are is there any type of the objective also? So there are two type of objectives. You can check in the internet. Most of the objectives are divided into two categories: primary objective, secondary objective, and specific objective, general objective. So right, main objective, sub objective. There are different categories of objectives, like primary objective and secondary objective. This is one category. Then main objective, secondary objective, and even I can show you the literature also mention general objective, specific objective, right? So all these have same meaning, don't worry. First of all, whenever you are writing the objective, whether it is a research paper or whether it is a thesis, so don't write that my paper is having two objective or three objective. You should write that the main aim of the objective, the main aim of this paper is this, and this objective therefore consistent to the aforementioned fact. The specific objective of the present study are as follows. So you know that we divide the objective into two categories: general objective and the specific objective. Sometimes we write that it is a main objective or this is the sub objective, right? This is the primary objective, yani main objective, and this is the secondary objective. So we should write in this manner: the aim of the objective is this, and the objective can be divided into different sub-objectives. And in the sub-objectives, you have to define it, explain this, right? The first objective of the study is focused on this, and we should also write this objective is fulfilled with the help of descriptive analysis, structural equation modeling is applied, right? So how this objective will be achieved, you have to mention that, because in most of the cases, I found that you know your objective, but how to achieve this objective is not clear. In most of the time, I have seen it, you mention your objective, but how to achieve it is not clear. Means how to achieve means what hypothesis is related to this objective, what statistical test I'm going to apply on this objective, that is not clear. So a research objective, when you're writing the research objective, you should be very, very clear that what hypothesis I'm going to link on with this objective, what statistical test I'm going to apply to achieve this objective, and which kind of data set is required for this objective. Sometimes the object, because there are different types of studies, some objectives are exploratory in nature, some objectives are descriptive in nature, right? Some objectives are based on experimental designs. So when you define your objective, you should be very, very clear that my objective is exploratory in nature. If yes, how will I achieve this? Whether my objective is descriptive in nature. If yes, how I will explore it, how I will test it, right? What kind of hypothesis I can link with this, and what test is required to examine the hypothesis. So objective should be linked with so many things. And whenever you are designing the questionnaire, you should know that which question is related to which objective, right? My first objective is fulfilled by which questions. Like normally I do one thing, I divide the questionnaire into different sections, and I say that the section A is related to the demographics, section B is related to the objective number 1. Specifically, I mentioned this section B of the questionnaire is related to the objective number 2, objective number 3, or whatever be the objective, and I'm going to apply this test to achieve this objective. So this is just a sample I'm showing to you the way you should write the objective in the thesis. And like you define your main objective, then you should define the objective number 1. It is a sub-objective or specific objective. The first objective can be known as main objective, or the general objective, or the primary objective, and the objective number 1, 2, 3, these are the specific objectives or secondary objectives or the sub-objectives. So you should follow this pattern, and you should remember that in almost every thesis, in almost every paper, the main objective is single. There should be only one main objective, and sub-objectives or specific objectives may be many, normally 3, 4. In one study, I found that there are 10 objectives, right? So this is also wrong. You should not have more than 5, 6 objectives, maximum 5 objectives in a thesis. If you are writing a research paper, you should not have more than 2 objectives. 2 specific objectives. I'm talking about 2 specific objectives. You should not have more than 2 specific objectives. But I have seen many papers where they are having 4 objectives, 5 objectives. But ideally, the editor wants you to focus on 2 objectives, 2 specific objectives. So the objective of the research should be written in this way. I hope this is clear. And I'm showing you some more like this: aims and objective of research. So all these things are coming. I'm taking from the consulting projects that I consulted. Right. So you can see the way we define the objective: to study the factors and dimensions of emotional intelligence and successful sales performance, to study the impact. So we also mentioned that this objective is fulfilled with the help of SAM approach. This objective is fulfilled for demographic. This objective is fulfilled for the moderating test, moderating effect. So which test you are going to apply, you should mention here. Okay, I hope you know now.